Now, many of you know this, you just haven't truly broken it down to see why you're right and to be able to make this argument to the opposition view. Merriam-Webster, simple definition of patriot: a person who loves and strongly supports or fights for his or her country. Full definition of patriot: one who loves his or her country and supports its authority and interests. Now, some of you will say, well, you're arguing semantics with these people. No, I'm not. Remember that these are the people who drug people based on what is socially normative. They're concerned with their definitions, with grammar, and with social norms. What they're doing in the typical Masonic way is misleading you. They have a bunch of ignorant people thinking that they are actually opposing the government when they are doing exactly what the government wants them to do. Waving the flag of a country. I mean, how do you honestly think that waving the flag of a country offends the government of a country? How stupid is that, right? But they have these ignorant rednecks thoroughly convinced that that's what it means. And then there's the agents of the New World Order among them who know exactly what is going on and why. I can't stress to you enough that America was founded for white people, with white people's interests in mind. I mean, can any of you honestly doubt that? We all know that some of the forefathers owned slaves. Thomas Jefferson, even, the main person associated with the Declaration of Independence. So, you see, the main phony opposition to the government is really the government operation. And it's very interesting how this works, because when I say main, it's not necessarily the biggest. I don't know how it breaks down. It's probably about equal. But they are making some of the best points, at least so it seems. Because the liberals, the ones that don't wave flags, that is, are making very, quote-unquote, un-American arguments, very un-Christian-like arguments in a predominantly Christian nation. Now, don't be surprised when the people who you would expect to do what they're doing do what they do, or do what you expect them to do. What it means to be American, what it means to be an American is the same thing it means to be French, or to be from the UK. In France, you also have red, white, and blue. Now, why is that? If we really think about it, it's a no-brainer. The white supremacist movement makes it clear. The flag of the UK, the British flag, is also red, white, and blue. So what do these colors mean? Well, the red is for the blood of white people and the blood that was shed for the nation. And these nations were basically all white when they began and when the flag was made. Do you really think they had black people and Native Americans in mind? No. They carried that concept to different nations in Europe and to America. And what's funny is you'll see countries that were founded with a non-white population having those colors as well. And we're not going to get into that. What it really represents, though, to put it in a nutshell, is the interests of white people. Red, white, and blue. Blue being the color that is of the heavens. The heavens have blessed their enterprise. You ever heard the saying, God bless America? Or for queen and country? What do these sayings mean? Well, for this white queen in the country of white people. Just because you have black Freemasons and Hispanics, who many of whom are related to white people, that's one of their little secrets now, isn't it? Who push the agenda of whites because they see it, they think it's in their best interest, socially and financially, politically. Doesn't mean that this is not the case. We all know about house niggas. I don't have to explain that anymore. And this is how it is. See, people just do not break it down for what it is. It's very funny how people will associate these white racists as being white trash who don't know what they're talking about. But it's quite interesting when you look at what the neo-Nazis are saying. They say, well, red symbolizes the blood of the Aryan race. And white is for, the pride in the white race. And where do these ideas come from? People don't just stop and say, well, where did these come from? They came from the same secret societies, or members of the same secret societies, that put the colors on the flags. Now look, Nathan Bedford Forrest is a Mason. Google it. And he started the KKK. So where did he get the idea to use white? Let's see. Oh, that's right. He got it from Masons who talk about colors and symbols. And colors can be symbols. Along with the rituals. They're either directly taken from Masonry or they are a variation of Masonic rituals. Now remember, many Masons claim that the symbols in Masonry are open to interpretation. This is really a trick because they're actually esotericists who believe in the original meaning or the true meaning. So it's a very common Masonic trick to get you to do what they want you to do, using their symbols so that their members who are controlling the movements are laughing behind your back. Ever wonder why you don't see too many black people waving American flags? Because on some level they're conscious of this. They just haven't taken the time to break it down to themselves or others in this manner, for the most part. With that being said, I believe it was the motto of the Chicago police, where they said, "We rule the night." It was some police department. I believe it was Jordan Maxwell that pointed it out. And I believe he was correct. So let's look at these colors and look at the police cars. Police cars tend to, you'll see sheriff cars, they're mostly white, and they have red and blue. They're sending the same message. It's a white power structure, and these are the enforcers of it. And then you also hear about, black and whites and chippies and what have you, And what is the meaning of that? Now, there's really two meanings here that come to mind. One is that the black is for ruling the night. These are Satanists, these are Luciferianists, people who believe in Luciferianism. And that white is the balance between light and dark that the Masons talk about. The other is that these are Satanists who are from the white race. And when you look at these movements, right, you ever wonder why groups like the ADL and so on, they associate people who say white pride with racism, and white people complain. They say, look, these people can be proud to be black. African pride, hair products. These people can be proud to be brown. You know, talking about La Raza and brown pride. So why can't we be proud to be white? Well, whether or not the ADL and these other groups truly understand or truly want to admit it, it is very simple. It's because the white pride movements are controlled by the most racist people in the world. Perhaps, second only and maybe to Jews. But they believe the same sorts of things, right? They're the God race or God chosen race, that they're superior, that they're smarter, that they're more civilized. The Jews just happen to have, more facts on their side, from the Bible to, their performance in academics, their academic performance as a group. So when you say white pride, what are you exactly proud of? A history of oppressing other groups. Now, the best argument they can make is that, well, we are proud of our pagan cultures. And I'll say, well, which one? The Druids, who used to sacrifice people? The barbarians who, like the Cimbri, used to rape and pillage and rob? Though they had a code of honor, that didn't stop them. It didn't preclude them from going around raping, pillaging, and murdering innocent people. So what parts, and let's not forget that it was usually racially charged, right? They weren't murdering their own for the most part. They were going out and sacking Rome and neighboring peoples that they had ethnic and racial animosity towards. And I'm not saying this is exclusively a white cultural thing, but I'm saying that what white culture is, and keep in mind, most of these groups who talk about white pride, they're not dressed up like a Celt or something. They're not dressed up as a Parthian. They're not dressed up like Hannibal. They don't represent Carthage. No. These people are proud of a oppressive culture of white supremacy. Now, I'm not saying that someone shouldn't be proud of their race, but what I am saying that the people who criticize them for it, they're right about it. Almost completely. I mean, there might be maybe 3 white people who aren't getting at that when they say white pride, but that's really what they're getting at. White pride is pride in a false narrative of history that makes white people look good. That's what it equates to. And that narrative includes mass murder, mass drugging, genocide, of course, part of mass, under the category of mass murder, and slavery, slavery, and so on, and exploitation and feeding into other people's sins for the benefit of the white establishment. Well, one last thing, if I'm wrong, then how come the better parts of white cultures are not being stressed, or they're being, they're not emphasized. It's a superficial way to express them or remember them. They're pretty much non-existent. And when you look at the history of my family on my mom's side, it's very much representative of this. My family on my white side were some of the few white people who believed in the more noble aspects of white culture, like chivalry and what have you. And as a result, the greedy white people, took advantage of them and rose to power by cheating not only other races, but the whites who had good hearts and were giving and, believed in giving back to society and making the world a better place than you found it, and things like this.